Today it's Thursday, April 13, 2023. This video is for the fuel system upgrade, okay? The specific company that's making this product, this upgrade kit, okay? I'm not saying that's not good, I'm not saying that's not working. I'm just have 2-3 things to mention to be on the same page. Once again, I'm not saying that's not working, it's working. I'm not saying that it's not good, it's good. And I'm gonna explain why. First thing first, you don't have to modify anything on the car. That means at any time you can just remove the upgrade one, put it inside the stock one, remove the upgrade high pressure pumps, put the stock one, and everybody happy. And you don't see any modification on the car. Is it safe? Yes, it is safe. Till now there is, knock on wood, I don't see any problem, okay? There are 2 things that does make any sense to me. One thing is to upgrade the low pressure pump and the high pressure pump and to run with 9080 RON petrol. I mean, it makes sense to upgrade the pumps and use, let us say, ethanol mixed up or racing fuel, C16, Q16 or whatever, okay? Or blended, example. It makes sense. But to upgrade the pumps and run on 98 RON, for me personally, I don't see any benefit. I don't see any point of that. Okay, but that's me. That's me. I might be wrong. Okay, I'll prefer to be considered on methanol if I'm not blending fuel. If I'm not using, let us say, 60-70% ethanol and the rest racing fuel or 100 RON petrol. Example. I'm gonna be more considered to spray more methanol than to upgrade the low pressure pump and the high pressure pump to spraying 98 RON petrol from the petrol station. To me, at least, it doesn't make any sense. For somebody else, it might make sense. This doesn't mean that I'm right, okay? Just that's my opinion. Second thing is that on this system, and I'm gonna explain why, you need to have at least half tank of fuel. You need to have at least, the half tank has to be full. Why I'm saying that? If you have a quarter of a tank of fuel, the fuel is gonna be somewhere here. So it's not gonna fill up the basket inside. The basket is closed, it cannot enter the fuel around naturally inside. How it's coming the fuel inside of the basket, you're gonna ask me. You're right. If you see the OEM fuel pump here, there is a pipe that comes on this valve. There is one valve here inside. And then continue to the other side of the tank. This valve, if you watch it, if you make the pump upside down, you come and you see from where it's sucking. That's why it has these notches here to don't touch fully down on the fuel tank, and it starts sucking fuel from here and it's dumping it inside the basket from there. Okay. Now the fuel pressure from the low pressure pump, the OEM, with the brushless pump, it comes from this side. Then there is another feeding that goes to the other side of the fuel tank here, because there is another valve from this side that it's picking up the fuel from the other side of the fuel tank and it's throwing it through here. It's passing through this one, through this pipe. And again, it's filling up the basket. Okay? But it's not enough when they're running 2 pumps in one basket. You need to have a double valves. I mean, you need to have another basket with this pump on the other basket with this valve, and you need to have also another pickup valve from the other side of the tank to fill it up. Okay? There is a third one. There is a third valve that's picking up, that's filling up the basket with the fuel, that's sucking outside of the fuel tank. And this one, it's this, for me at least, is the most critical. It's this one here. This valve to work, this valve to operate correctly, it needs to have the vacuum, the suction from the low pressure pump. That you can clearly see that this is in the air, it's not been placed properly, and also this one. Okay, you cannot rely on the pump with the brushes because this is based on boost and it's not running all the time. This is gonna run only under boost. After 1 bar, 15 psi, 14-15 psi, you're gonna activate this pump. So you cannot manage, let us say, to work with this pump, this valve down here. All right. Now, in all of the pumps, it doesn't matter if it's a Mercedes, Volkswagen, Audi, or BMW, it's like this one. You see the same valve down there. That's the valve. And you see the same thing from down here. Exactly the same, just a little bit different design. And then here you see a membrane. This membrane, it goes and it steps right, if I place it inside, doing it with one hand. When you have the frame, okay, when you have the frame, it's keeping the pump at this point. You see the membrane down there? That's, I squeeze it. All right. So this, it's keeping it at this position exactly. That's why it's locking all around. That's why you see here that's missing the plastic that's holding it down. So in this setup here, you need to get advantage from any valve available, not to cancel. That's my point. And that's why I'm saying that you need to have half tank to run correct. That's my point only. That means if you have a quarter of a tank, or if it's below the basket, it will not gonna fill up naturally the basket inside with the fuel, so you're gonna have a fuel starvation of the pumps. That's the thing. It's important for me to be able to work also this pump, this valve here, and if it's possible to make another one, to modify the basket and make another one to suck the upgrade pump, this one, also from outside. The same system like this one. You see this pump, it's picking up the fuel from here and it's dumping it inside because there is a pressure here, okay, and it's sucking it from the primary filter. Okay, that's how it works. If I mount it, you're gonna start coming fuel out here. You're gonna pick it up from here. This is a valve. This is like a Venturi. All right, the similar valve has from the other side of the fuel tank. I have mentioned that before. It's not the first time. I have mentioned this 1,000,000 times. So I hope that I make myself clear. Once again, I'm not saying that it's not working. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that it's not good. There is no fuel leak. There is no problem at all. There is no sound. You have a fuel supply. You can adjust also your water methanol to be optimized, to don't spray less or more, okay? And yes, you can make some power. But, like I said, you need to have at least half tank to be able to be always the basket full, okay? And then you have a limitation. What kind of limitation you have? That's what you have. That's the other thing. This pipe here, what you see, it's 7 millimeters inner diameter, okay? So what's your standards? You cannot increase the fuel pressure more than 8 bar, right? So, and you have 8 bar out of 7 millimeter, right? So you have two pumps, you're gonna have 8 bar, let us say, of fuel pressure. You're gonna have that flow. It's not how you're gonna work this system better, but you have to modify it. You need to add another fitting. So that means each pump, you're gonna have his own fitting. And you're gonna throw it front and you're gonna loop it front at the high pressure pumps to have one common fuel regulator down over there. Obviously the upgrade pump need to have a check valve to don't flowing back, otherwise you're not gonna have a pressure. If you want to optimize it, if you want to run better, you need 2 fuel lines, 1 per pump. And then you're gonna double the flow. It's better, let us say, to have 7 bar out of 2 pipes than to have 8 bar only from 1 pipe that they have the same inner diameter. That's my point. I was willing to say another thing that I forget it. Dang it. Yeah, one friend of mine, all these videos I'm making it also for a friend of mine because he asked me yesterday. So what they did, they upgrade the high pressure pumps, but they didn't upgrade the low pressure pump. Obviously you have to drill the fuel rail because there is the restriction and you have to increase the diameter. So they didn't upgrade the low pressure pump, but they upgrade the high pressure pump. What's gonna happen? You're gonna starve the low pressure pump faster. That's what you're gonna do. Nothing more, nothing less. Because you have 2 big pumps, high pressure pumps front, you drill also the rail to don't have a restriction and to increase the diameter, and then from back you have the low pressure pump, the OEM. You're not getting anywhere. If it was starving for fuel before, now you're gonna starve even faster. You're gonna drop the fuel pressure like this. And this will not gonna be because of the high pressure pumps, it's gonna be because the low pressure pump, you're not gonna be able to supply the high pressure pumps with the fuel. Let's put also this on the video, to be one video. I'm gonna put a title, fuel system upgrade, probably, okay, it's general. This data here, what you see, it's not from an actual sample. I didn't get a sample of a petrol and from 100% ethanol, 100% petrol, and I ran a test on a room temperature, let us say here or whatever, with my tools. This is data that you can find online. Anybody can find online. You can Google it and you can find this similar results with that. It depends the study, it depends who is testing it, in which temperatures, it depends if there is contamination or something, all right? So up and down, it's this, all right? Now, what I have right here, let's go to the point to finish the story. I don't have a time. 100% ethanol, all right? Once again, it's not pure, it's not pure. It's not 100% what I'm saying, because if you give, let us say, 100% ethanol to 10 different people, they're going to make 10 different tests, and no, they're going to run the same tests, but they're going to get different results because based on the atmospheric pressure, based on the temperature, based on some contamination, let us say. I hope that I make myself clear, all right? So, ethanol, 420 degrees Celsius auto-ignition point, self-ignite. It's self-ignite, the ethanol at 420 degrees Celsius, all right? It's making 19,000, has 19,000 BTU per liter, okay? When the petrol, it's auto-ignite at 280 degrees Celsius and has energy of 26,400 BTU per liter. Fine? Okay. What does mean that one? On the direct injection, at the fuel rail, when you get the pressure, when you get the temperature from the OBD, you see that has 100 degrees Celsius, the fuel, approximately. Okay, here in UAE, this is how much the temperatures. Normal driving, especially not in the summer, anytime, you see something like 90 to 100 degrees Celsius at the fuel rail, the fuel temperature, all right? That means for the petrol, you need another one 80 degrees Celsius to auto-ignite, to self-ignite the fuel. On ethanol, you need 320 when you have 100 degrees on the rail. I hope that I make myself clear here at this point, all right? Then, BTU. BTU per liter, 19,000 versus 26,400. You're gonna tell me, why has the petrol more BTU? Well, you're gonna see, it's gonna make sense, and how you make more power with ethanol than petrol. Okay, stoichiometric, lambda 1 volt. For the petrol, you need 14.7 to 1, all right? You need 14.7 parts of air with 1 part of fuel. Let us say you can say 14.7 cubic centimeters of air, okay, with 1 cubic centimeter of fuel. Okay, you can make, you're gonna have lambda 1. Okay, now for the ethanol to have a lambda 1, you need 9 to 1 air fuel ratio. That means plus 65% more than the petrol. Okay, if you want to run REACH depends application, all right? If you want to run, let us say 12.5 to 1, okay, that the lambda is going to be 0.85 volt on the petrol. On an ethanol, you have to run 6.5 to 1, plus 95%, almost double, okay? And on 6.5 to 1, it's going to show you the lambda 0.73 volt. How did I make myself clear, right? So you have to spray the double amount, you have the double amount of fuel, and then the 19,000 BTU per liter, it's not 19,000 BTU anymore. I mean, it's doubling. You see the difference? It's 38,000 BTU. How do I make myself clear on that? It's much more the BTU, the energy that's producing the ethanol, because you spray more versus the petrol. Okay? It's mathematics. You can find all this data, what I'm saying, online. You have the auto-ignition, that's important, and you have the energy, and you have also your lambda. This in general, and that's why you have to spray much more fuel. That's why you need to upgrade the fuel lines. That's why you have to put a bigger injectors. That's why you have to put more pumps, because you need to spray, as an example, on a performance application that's running 12.5 to 1 air fuel ratio, all right? The equal on ethanol, the pure ethanol, I'm talking about 100%, it's 6.5 to 1. Now, like I said before, you can blend it with a C16, you can blend it with a, it's not like back in the days that what he was doing. He was getting, let us say, super unleaded, or whatever, it's the best that has the petrol station, all right? You mix it up with some acetone for the nails, that you clean the ladies, that they're removing the color from the nails. You mix up also some clean diesel inside to increase the auto-ignition point. And then you fix your mixture, you make some tests, you melt some spark plugs, some pistons, some exhaust valves, let us say, you find your ignition timing, and then you're saying, okay, I mix it with this way and it's working. And then you're going to the petrol station, it has contaminated fuel, you try to do that again, and then you break again the engine. But this was back in 90s, 80s. 90s, definitely. I have done this before. Okay. But nowadays, no. You don't have to do that. Nowadays, you can get it ready. You can get pre-mixed ethanol with a C16, with a petrol or whatever, and you can dump it inside and you're going to be fine. You have also the ethanol sensor, the content sensor, that you can read it, and everybody happy. But that's the thing. The auto-ignition point, the self-ignition point of its fuel, okay? The BTU, the energy, but don't forget the ratio, air-fuel ratio. Okay, I hope that I cover you. This mostly for one friend of mine. He asked me yesterday, and not only that guy, there was also another friends of mine that they came here and they asked me. I explained to them, but it's different to have it on the video, different to talk, all right? So, yeah, there are more things behind of this. This is a general, just to be understandable. There are much more things than this. Fine. But I'm not the guy who's gonna analyze all these things. Just keep the basic things. The air-fuel ratio, like I said, the energy and the auto-ignition point. That's the most important things, at least for me. Once again, I might be wrong, but that's my opinion. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Let me continue working here because I'm wasting my time here. Thank you.